Okay. All right, so this is the shir should be an Aliyah Neshama for Leah Bas Mordechai Anshel. And okay, so Parshas Naso. Parshas Naso is very interesting. They're all interesting. I shouldn't say it that way, but there's an interesting point about Parshas Naso that when there's a leap year, Shana Mu'beres, so then we not only is Bamidbar right before Shavuos, but so is Naso. We read it right before Shavuos. So it has a specific quality that relates to Shavuos that we might discuss a little bit later. But the focus in the Parsha is, of course, the Birchas Kohanim. And the Pasuk says like this, Ko sevarchu es b'nei Yisrael. The Parshas Naso, which that contains this bracha of the Kohanim, that here we are blessed, that every single day when we go to shul, we hear the Birchas Kohanim. In America, it's only, and Chutz La'aretz, it's only on Yom Tif that we are able to do it. Although according to the Gra used to have Birchas Kohanim also doing in Chutz La'aretz. But so therefore, we recognize, we have to understand, let's put it this way, the importance and what we can take out of Birchas Kohanim. It's all very nice. We get up there, we don't look, we cover ourselves with the talis. I mean, that is if you're wearing a talis. But we cover ourselves and we see, and we don't look, the Shekhinah is there, and we have bad dreams, you can say what you have to say and all that. But there's much more to it. And let's see. The Pasuk right before the brachas is Ko sevarchu es Yisrael emor lahem. So, Ko sevarchu es b'nei Yisrael. So you shall give a bracha to the Bnei Yisrael, to Klal Yisrael. Emor lahem, Yirecha Hashem, Yishmerecha, and so on. So the word ko is very interesting because the Medrash says that we merit to have the Birchas Kohanim in the schus of Avram Avinu, because Hashem said, Ko yiyeh zaracha, so will be your children. So the Ko sevarchu es b'nei Yisrael and Ko yiyeh zaracha. So it would appear that just using the same word twice, it's an indication that it has something to do with Avram Avinu. But there's much more than that. It's not just the parallel wording, but the statement of Ko yiyeh zaracha, so your children will be, was clearly connected and is a source for the Birchas Kohanim. So the full context is something like this. Hashem says to Avram Avinu, Achar advarim o'ele hoya dvar Hashem el Avram. This was after the Bris Ben Absarim. Haya b'machazeh, in a vision, Lamor saying, Al tira Avram, don't be afraid. Anochi mogen lach. I'm protecting you. I'm the one that's going to protect you. Nothing to worry about. You've got a great shield. Great shield. Vayomer Avram Hashem Elokim, the powerful one. Matitedli, what are you going to give me? I don't have any children. What are you going to? What can you give me if I don't have children? And he's the one that's my Talmud, my manager of my estate. I mean, but he's not my child. Hein, behold, li lo nosato zera. You didn't give me a child. He's the only one that will inherit. So Abraham Avinu says, what good is it if I don't have children? So what did Hashem respond? Lo yirosh chazeh. Don't be afraid, Avram Avinu. He won't. This one, Eliezer, he's not the one to inherit you. Ki im asher yetzei mi meyecha, the one that comes from your own loins. Hu yiroshecha. Vayetzei oso achutza. And he took him outside. Hashem told him to go outside. Vayomer habet no hashamayma. Look at the stars. Sphera koichavim. Count them. Im tuchal lispor. You think you can count them? Meaning, you know you can't count them. Vayomer lo. And again, Vayomer, Hashem said to him, Ko yeh. That's how much they'll be. They're beyond mispor, which is a separate discussion. We'll get to that maybe in a few weeks. But it's beyond. I mean, it says, V'hayom mispar b'nei Yisrael, and the number was kechol hayom, like the dust, like the sand of the sea. Yeah, lo yimad v'lo yisaber. They can't be measured. They can't be counted. You just told me they're going to be as much as the sand of the sea, which is pretty much, and it's a nice bracha. But we have to understand that kind of a contradiction in the pasuk. But that's going to come in a week or two. Now, but the bottom line is what Hashem says to Avram Avinu. And from that ko comes Birchas Kohanim. Again, we have to understand what does that mean. So from this, what I've just quoted, what does it appear? That Hashem promised them children. When he said, Hashem Elokim matiten li v'ani holech hariri. There was a response to his saying, I don't have any children. But the truth of the matter is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised them children way before. He promised them earlier. In the beginning of Lech Lecha, it says, Lech Lecha, in Lech Lecha, L'zaracha etenis, or it says also, I'm going to give it to your children. And again, he promised them, when Lot left him, he says, Ki es kol ha'aretz hazeh asher ata roya lecha etnena u'lezarecha. I'm giving you the land and to your children. Ad olam v'samti ezaracha ka'afar ha'aretz. They'll be so numerous, they'll be like the dust of the earth. Asher im yuchal ish limnos esafar ha'aretz kach zaracha yimoneh. If you can count the dust of the earth, that's how you can count the Jews. Okay, so again, what's going on here? He said it already. What's this Ko Zaracha now? Ki'ilu, like right now, he's responding to Hashem. And why did Abraham say, you promised me and you're not giving me kids? Why was it necessary for Hashem to promise Abraham Avinu that he will have children a third time? Abraham Avinu believed in Hashem. He had no doubt that he was going to have children. He knew that. However, when Hashem said, "L'samti ezaracha ke'afar ha'aretz," he got nervous. He was afraid. What was he afraid of? He thought they would be like the dust of the earth, that people would trod upon them because, why? Hashem said it. That's what children of Abraham, what's up? That they wouldn't be righteous. That they wouldn't be Ovdei Hashem. They wouldn't. It's all good. I don't have any control. Maybe my children right now, I would have control. Well, that was something else. That was because of Avodah Zorah. But when he said, but it doesn't say it was because he's not even pointing out the dust of the earth as the Avodah Zorah part of it, like the Arabs. Those are volume. But what he was saying is they'll be downtrodden, be stepped upon. Why will they be stepped upon? Why should they be stepped upon? Because they didn't do Ratzon Hashem. And and if that's the case, if he feared that there was going to be as like the dust of the earth, because they wouldn't listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then he said, then they're not my children. They're not my children. Hein li lo nosata zara. You didn't give me, and to give me children means they have to be Ovdei Hashem. Matiten li v'anochi holech hariri. I will be without children, if that's the way it is. If you're telling me they'll be like the dust of the earth. What did Hashem say? No, Avraham Avinu, relax. Ko yezer, look at the stars. Then, and because of that, we have Birchas Kohanim. Still not quite clear. So what? What's he trying to tell us? What's the stars of the earth? The word ko, obviously, is in this case, is not referring to the numbers. He told them about the numbers. Count the numbers of the earth, you won't be able to, and so on. He's got a lot of kids, okay? If you go back throughout the generations, all the Klal Yisrael, it goes into the millions and trillions, billions, okay? At least. Today they talk trillions to get nervous. I don't know what comes after trillion, quadrillion. Anyway, it's like, yeah, then bafufstik. Whatever you want to make up, you got a name. But he's saying like this: not only will they be righteous, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, Ko Yezaracho, they'll be like the stars. What is so special about the stars? They will radiate the light of Torah and illuminate the world. Don't worry, Avram. Without your children, there'll be no light in the world. So they will be like the stars that radiate light, that give light and warmth and everything that is possible and beauty. That will be your children. And they will care about each other. Where do we see that in the bracha? Because the pasuk in Daniel says, "Umatzdike harabim." Those who look out for the community, those who look out for the rov, the rabbim, not just the yochid. They'll be shining like the stars forever. What he's saying is that not only it's not just that they're going to be religious. Okay, I won't say the word you don't want me to say. It's not just that they're going to be religious and they'll do mitzvahs and they'll learn Torah and they'll be Avdei Hashem. No, there'll be a relationship between them. Between every individual in Klal Yisrael will have a connection to the rest of Klal Yisrael. Avram's tefillah for children was that they should be tzaddikim, not that they should just be a lot of them. And caring about one another, that's chus in Avram's tefillah that they should care about one another. And Hashem said, yes, they'll be like the stars of the heaven. For that, we get Birchas Kohanim. So let's take a look at the conclusion of the Birchas Kohanim. The third part of the Birchas, Yirach Hashem Yishmerecha, Yor Hashem Panav Elecha B'chunecha, Yisor Hashem Es Panav Elecha, V'yosem L'cha Shalom. Shalom. The conclusion. The whole brachas, all the wonderful brachas, Hashem Yishmerecha is a physical and material wealth, and Yor Hashem Panav Elecha B'chunecha is chen and ruchni is all that very good. But in the end, Yisor Hashem Panav Elecha V'yosem L'cha Shalom. So Shalom here refers to many things. Shalom means no enemies, no wars, no harmful animals, no forces of nature that will harm us. If we are matzdike harabim, if we are matzdike harabim, it's an amazing thing. And we're not talking about individual here. We're talking about the majority of Klal Yisrael. So this includes for the individual. You see, you can't have the community as in shalom with each other unless there's an individual. The individual has to be at peace. And I don't know how many times we said this. There's three elements to shalom. There's shalom between you and your friend. There's shalom between you and the Rabbeinu Shalom. And there's shalom within yourself. And this is very, very crucial, because there can't be shalom with the community. There can't be even a shalom with HaKadosh Baruch Hu without there being an internal personal shalom. A person, we know we're very complicated, we people that we are. And we many times don't pay attention to what we're feeling and what's going on with inside. And the focus has to be that we have to use all the qualities that we have been blessed with, whether it's monetary, whether it's physical, whether it's ruchnistic wise. But the purpose of that is to appreciate it and to incorporate it into our lives in such a way that we're at peace. So it's very interesting. The brachas are lashon yochid. Yeah, Yevarechecho Hashem Yishmerach. The Gra says whenever the Torah speaks about lashon yochid, it refers to Klal Yisrael, yeah, in its entirety. That's what and lashon rabim. Whenever it uses lashon, it's talking straight to every individual. So there's a recognition here in the Birchas Kohanim that we have to have shalom, not just with my next door neighbor. It's not just that, yes, of course, shalom with peace, shalom bayis, all of those things are included in the bracha. But it doesn't just mean the shalom, good afternoon, how are you doing? You're nice, your neighbor, you don't spill your garbage by their door. Those kinds of things. No. Shalom is even to the guy that spills the garbage by your door. That's where it takes shalom. That's where we've talked about giving up. Remember, we talked about Rus and giving up that which is coming to you. I mean, look, don't. What are you picking on me for? Now, why are you dropping your head? What are you picking on me for? No. Shalom, just for shalom. So, what does this have to do with Shavuos? That's very nice, but how does this connect to Shavuos? And this is really where I want to put the focus, because we're just today's Isur Chag. You know what Isur Chag means? What's Isur Chag? Oh, the day after Yom Tov is called Isur Chag. Tied what? How? And when? And where? And with what? So the Gemara says it's very interesting. Call ha'oisa Isur Lachag v'achilo v'shtia. You make a Suda on Isur Chag, it's like you built a Mizbeach and you brought a korban. And what do we do about Isur Chag? Nobody, don't want to bring. We don't have the ability to bring korbanos because we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. But how can we give up that opportunity? So we have to understand what that means. What that means is like this. Isur means to tie up, right? Matir asurim, people who are tied up, people who are captive, we have to tie it up. And what? Do with it. Okay, I got to tie up the yontiv, Isur Chag. Tie it up and do what? And bring it into the week. If I tie it up and I connect it into the daily life, in other words, I take a lesson, the lesson that I've learned from the Yom Tov, it's not just the cheesecake. You know that. Shavuos is not just that. I mean, it's important. Don't get me wrong. It's very important. Very enjoyable too. But very rare that I find somebody that doesn't like cheesecake. It's very strange. El Tam Varech, but there are those individuals. But okay, that's not the Yontif of Shavuos. We'll see. So this idea of Achdus, of Shalom, and connectivity, to identify with the Tzibur, with everyone in the Tzibur, it's also part of Matan Torah. The Parshas Hamoadim in Emor. So each Yontif, Pesach, Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, has their own parsha, whole parsha from pay to pay. In the Chumash, they have divided up. It's its own subject matter. Call it a paragraph, right? Except Shavuos. Shavuos doesn't have its own. After, so we got Pesach. Let's start that way. That's the first one. Right after Pesach, you have Sphera Omer having a parsha, and then what happens is that the Sphera is connected to. That's where the parsha of Shavuos is placed. That's what Hashem tells us about Shavuos, about Yom HaBikurim. Where? In the parsha of Sphera Omer. So you have parsha of Pesach, you have parsha of Sphera Omer and Shavuos, you have parsha of Sukkot, and then Rosh Hashanah, and then Yom Kippur and Sukkot.
What's about mean parsha?
A parsha, a separate paragraph in the Chumash. A parsha is a parsha. It's not the Sedra. It's not the Sedra. It's marked. You'll look in the Chumash, you'll see there's a page. No, in Parshas Emor. We're talking now in Parshas Emor. It's talking about all the Yomim Tovim. That's where it speaks about the Yomim Tovim in Parshas Emor. And you have the Parsha of, like I said, Pesach, Sphera Omer, right after Pesach, that's fitting. But you tell me about the Sphera Omer is a big deal with the Korban Omer and the Shtei Alechem and all of that. And then you would think there would be end Parsha, and then comes the Parsha of Shavuos. But no, Shavuos doesn't have its own separate Parsha. It's connected to the Sphera Omer. Okay, so the joining of Sphera to Parshas to the Yontif of Shavuos teaches us something that we've talked about in detail. That what makes the Yontif of Shavuos is the counting of Sphera Omer. Now, that's the after you count. Shavuos doesn't have a date in the calendar. We know that. We've said that many times. But when do you know it's going to be Shavuos? On the 50th day of the Omer, the day after you finish counting 49. Then you know it's going to be Shavuos. Good? So the Yontif of Shavuos was created by the process of counting 1, 2, 3, and so on. What happens when you count? When you count and you're reaching a goal, and the ultimate goal, as we said many times, is 50. And what is 50? Kol, the gematria of 50, the gematria of Kol, 20 and 30 is 50. That's the Kol. That's everything. That's the goal. The ultimate goal was to get to the 50, and that's when Matan Torah was. Yes? That was the whole concept of preparing ourselves, at least, to get Matan Torah. Now, you should count. Avni Mochras HaShabbos HaShvis Tisperu Chamishim Yom V'yikraftem Mincha Chadosh Al Hashem. So you see that the Yontif of Shavuos is tied to the Omer. It is dependent on the Omer. If you didn't count the Omer, you don't have a Shavuos. You don't have Shavuos. And by the way, it's also very interesting. Nowhere in Chumash is the Yontif called Shavuos. Never, nowhere. It's called Yom HaBikurim, Yom HaBikurim. It's called Shavuosechem when you have counted 7 weeks, then. But the Yontif wasn't called Shavuos. Rosh Hashanah, Pesach is called Pesach. Chag Even what is the Shavuos? Where do we get Shavuos? So this you have to understand also. This isn't a beautiful idea. The Gemara brings that one of the major machlokesim between those who deny Torah Sheba'al Peh and the Chachomim, that's the Perushim, who were fighting against them, who were talking about the Masorah from Moshe Rabbeinu on down. The Tzedukim weren't interested in that. Their fight, their issue, was you're not interpreting the Torah properly. You know how I don't like the word interpret. Interpret means you stick your nose into the Torah and you tell the Torah what it means. That's what interpreting means. I interpret it this way. It's really meforshim that break it open to see what's doing on the inside. Okay, but they who are interpreting the Torah said, look, it said, Mimocharas HaShabbos. from the day after Shabbos. Okay. So what's the day after Shabbos? Sunday, right? Sunday Miyo is Mocharas HaShabbos. So you don't start counting. You wait till the next Shabbos on Pesach, and then you count. Wait a minute. Chazal say, no, that's not what the Torah says. When it says Mocharas HaShabbos, it was referring to Pesach. Pesach is also called the Shabbos. And you start counting from the day after Pesach. What's that machlokes? What are they arguing about? So the Tzdukim said, listen to me. It says 7 weeks, right? 7 weeks you should count. A week starts on Sunday and ends on Shabbos. 7 weeks, that's a week. And they're really from, so they go back to what? Ma'aseh Bereshis. That's the way it started. There was 6 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Shabbos, and that was it. What are you starting Shabbos in the middle of the week for? What are you starting a week in the middle of the week? Doesn't make sense. Humanly. Right, but Hashem said, Memochras HaShabbos, in the Torah Shebaal Peh, we have Torah Shebaal Peh. In the Torah Shebaal Peh, it says that it starts the day after Pesach. So what does it mean? So this Rav Moshe, Rav Moshe Sphera, makes it very clear. The Pasuk says, B'shavu oseichem, your weeks. You, Klal Yisrael, have the koach to create a week. And when you start counting the 7 days, it could be on Thursday, it could be on Tuesday, it could be on Monday, and it could be Sunday too. But b'shavu oseichem, I want you to count from the day after Pesach. Whenever Pesach falls out, that's when you start counting. So Pesach fell out on Thursday when they left Mitzrayim, so they started the day after Pesach on Friday. And that was the whole process of b'shavu oseichem. That the Yontav of Shavuos, and we call it Shavuos. Chazal calls it Shavuos. Why do they call it Shavuos? Because that's exactly what we are celebrating. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the koach, gave us the power to create a week. We created our own weeks. That means we are creators. And as Reb Chaim Volozhiner said, he says it so clearly, that when it says that Adam was created B'Tselem Elokim, of all things, why not B'Tselem Yudkei Vovkei? Why not B'Tselem Shakai? Why not B'Tselem what's this Elokim? Elokim? What's the name of creation? Of Hashem? What's the name of Hashem in creation? Breshis bara Elokim. Vayomer Elokim. Vayomer Elokim. Each time it's Elokim. Elokim means he is the Bore. He created us. B'Tselem Elokim. We too are a Bore. We too are creators. And we create even weeks. And when we complete that, we have now prepared ourselves for Kabbalas HaTorah. So, yeah. No, I'm joking. It's just so nice to see you here, that's all.
So I'm really taken with it, the way you explained about Shavuos. So it makes huge sense. I'm still left wondering about Parshas Shavuos.
How is Pesach HaShabbos?
And so how do we understand that use of the word Shabbos?
Okay. That's not part of this year, but that's why I said maybe. But no. The reason I say that is because I want to get to a few other things. But it's a good point. I mean, what does it mean, Mocharas HaShabbos? Pesach was called Shabbos because nature ceased. That's what Shabbos was. Beyond, yes, it was what happened on Shabbos by Yishbos. And when nature ceases, it's Shabbos. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling us, Memocharas HaShabbos. You know what you just experienced? The cessation of nature. Not just the cessation of nature, the abrogation of nature. No creation.
So,
Everything ceased. Shvisa, Shabbos. Okay? Okay. You're welcome. Thank you for pushing me. Okay, so now we know something very interesting. That not only is Matan Torah called Shavuos, the Yom Tov of Matan Torah is called Shavuos, but 3 times in Chumash Dvarim, it's referred to as Yom HaKohol. When it's talking about the second Luchos, it says that like Hashem revealed himself on Yom HaKohol, on the day of the Kohol. What is this Kohol? What does it mean, the Kohol? It means that every single solitary Yid was standing at Ma'amid Har Sinai as a Kohol, as a klal, as one together. The Kehillah is together. We want to build Kehillot. What's Kehillot? Jews. 10 people make a Kehillah. There can be bigger Kehillahs. There can be 20 people, 30, but if you have to have at least 10. That's a Kehillah. So on this Yom HaKol, when Hashem spoke to the Klal Yisrael, he spoke to them. Chazal tells us, and this is a famous Chazal, Medrash, that he spoke all 10 dibros at one time. Something that the ear can't hear and the mouth can't speak. It was a beyond. And then, first he did it that way, and then he did it and explained each one separately. So what was the purpose of doing it? I mean, your ear can't hear it, your mouth can't say it. What was the purpose of this all together Nesinas HaTorah? What's the purpose of saying the Seres HaDibros in a way that can't even be understood? The reason he had to repeat it again, because we had to find out what to do. You can't do it unless you hear it, and you can understand it, right? So he had to repeat it, and he did, the Rabbi Shalom. But what was the whole purpose from the first time? So we have to know that the Aseres HaDibros are referred to as a bris. Vayaged lochem es briso. And he spoke to them, his bris, asher tzivo eschem, that he commanded you, lasos aseres hadvarim. That's the aseres hadibros. It's called a bris, openly called a bris. So what's a bris? Covenant. That's true. That's a translation. And so what's a covenant? A covenant is that there is something that joins 2 entities in a relationship that goes down to the very essence of their being. The essence of their being. Bereshis, Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim. Anochi, Ano, I, Aleph. Nafshi, Nun, from Anochi. Kasvis wrote down Yahavis, and I gave it over. Nafshi, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm giving you Nafshi. What is Nafshi? Nafshi is my source of essence. This is me, and this is you. Once you have the Torah, that you identify, we have to identify with the Torah, as you. You know, I've mentioned many times that it says that, if you save a life, a Jewish life, it's like you're saving the world. If chas v'sholem you kill someone, you've destroyed a world. So people extract from that a human being, a mensch, a yid, is a miniature world. Whole world. Says the Rosh Yeshiva, no. Rav Hutner says that's a mistake. The person is not a miniature world. The world is a miniature person. You have to know who you are, nafshi, my soul. That we got this Torah, so then we got the whole world embedded within who we are. And that has to be our identification. So this bris, we give over our lives blood, prepared to keep the bris. In fact, we have a covenant with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a bris, okay? A bris, the Ramban brings in Noach when he talks about the keshes, the bris, that was the first bris, but that it was like the word is like a possessive word, bris, bria shell, brias, like the creation of. Your new creation is here. A bris is a creation of something. What is it creating? This relationship of essence. My very essence I give over to you. I know, nafshi, kasvis, yahavis. I give over what I wrote it down in the luchos, and the whole Torah is included in the luchos, and I gave it to you, and now it's within you. And it says, Kosvei ma'aluach libecha. Write him down onto the luach, the luchos of your heart. That's what took place at Ma'amad Har Sinai. Kasvus Yahavis. I gave over what is written down, and it now put it into your heart, your essence. The luchos, were the shape of the luchos were really, Chazal tell us, were cubes. They were squared off, cubes. But when we draw the luchos, since time immemorial, we draw it like this. Why? It's hard. Write it down into the luach of your heart. I know. You got it? Fine. As I stay. But no one does it except for a few people. But no, I mean seriously, but are you going to any shul?
No, that wasn't what it was.
No, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not putting, is that right? 1,000%. That's the way the luchos look. But somehow Klal Yisrael didn't adopt that. No. Oh, the tzura. That's true. It's true. No, but it says in Parshas, Kosvei maluach libecha. Now, how do you write a heart? How do you draw a heart? There's no way. It's always been like this, right? That's the way the illustration of a heart has been midor dor, and that's why the Gdolei Olam did it that way. Now there are those that write it down on, and they're right. I can't fault them at all because they work cubed, right? But you can't fault this either because this is what the Gdolei Olam have done. Okay, but now. So now what we have here is a bris, okay? And the bris is something totally different. The bris with Hashem came before Matan Torah, before he told us what to do. Meaning the representation of that bris was that the Torah was said all at once, that nobody could understand it. Because a bris is something we can't understand truly. A bris with Hashem? How can there be a covenant with Hashem that I'm giving up my heart, that he's giving me his heart? That's funny. No, it's not at all. It's commitment. I am so totally committed to this that this is my very essence. And I become Torah. And through this, as I've said so many times, when you study mathematics, you don't become a triangle. And when you study biology, you don't become a frog. And nor does your teacher become a frog. Right? But when you study Torah, you become Torah. Now, I told you that story about the ethics teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the idea. The ethics teacher doesn't become ethical because it's a subject. Torah is not a subject. Torah is something that is your essence. So, there were two elements to Matan Torah. Now, the bris, as I said, preceded mitzvahs. And therefore, unless an individual mitzvah would remove you from the bris or nullify the bris, then you don't have to give up your life. You must not give up your life. You don't give up your life for mitzvahs. The mitzvah of the Torah, you can't give up your life. It's not even right. If you do, it's a big problem. You'll be punished. One will be punished for that. You know, somebody says, if you don't eat this treif, I'm going to kill you. You're allowed to eat treif. Finished. There are three things you can't do. Can't have avodah zarah, you can't murder, and you can't have arayas. And when you live immorally, you've taken yourself out of the bris. Now, do you realize what's going on in the world today? Do you realize there's no bris there? And the murder that goes on? You know, even for non-Jews, you an aborted baby, you're chayav misa. What?
Can you get back?
Good point. Yes. Yes, you can. Of course you can. You can exit the bris and you can, it's a two-way street. That's a highway. And you can go in and you can go out. But if you stay out, you've lost it all. If a person stays out of the bris, and that's why it was a bris. It was a bris, and this bris, even those, a bris is made not with individuals, with the cloud. So when you take yourself out of the cloud, out of what the cloud represents, the only individuals that had a bris was Avraham Avinu, Noach, and Yaakov, and Yitzchak. They all had brisin, but they either represented all of Klal Yisrael or the entire world. Noach represented the entire world. So it was a cloudistic thing. It was a cloud. It was the Yom HaKohol, when we were a cloud. And of course, the very famous Chazal that says that when it says that Vayichan Shom Yisrael Neged Hahor, that Klal Yisrael camped opposite the mountain. It uses the singular. Vayichan, it should be Vayachanu. Why does it say Vayichan? One individual, because Ki'ish Echad Ukalev Echad. At Maimer HaSinai, that's who we were. We were one people with one heart. And that brings about that, what that achieves is the Hashras Hashchina. And that's I want to share with you. Yes.
When a time of there's a shema, every mitzvah can be heard.
That's because it takes you're taking, and Shema takes you out of the bris.
Oh.
That's what Shema does. You can't have a bris if you don't consider yourself a Jew. And Shema, that's what Shema is. You're 100% right. That I was just giving other examples, but it's the truth that if they're trying to convert you, and if you don't convert you, they'll kill you. And all I want you to do is change the color of your shoes. All non-Jews wear yellow shoes. You just got to wear a yellow shoe. No, I won't. It says, Hashoichen imohem b'soch tum asa. So the Shekhinah is an aspect of Hashem's revelation that dwells together with us, even when we're not 100% and we're not doing all the mitzvahs, except if taking ourselves out of the group, out of the cloud, out of the kohol, and Hashem's Shekhinah is not there anymore. You've taken one has taken themselves out. Now, even it says that tefillah, everyone is mechuyev to daven, but davening b'tzibur with the kohol, that is called the eis ratzon b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's easier. You achieve more then. Why? Because within the group, within the kohol, in the tzibur, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence is there. And then you find all over that if you do certain things, v'nichrasa me'adas Yisrael, v'nichrasa me'amel, v'nichrasa mitoch kahakol. People take themselves out of the kohol. And when you do that, and you know what? It's so easy to see all of what's going on in the world and with the poor Jews. And look, let me add one little caveat here. I mean, they have to know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. These are Tinuk Shanishba, it's a whole different thing. And tshuva is always there. But and even with if you survive it, even if you did it, you wore yellow shoes. You were supposed to give up your life. You didn't give up your life. You can still do tshuva. You can do tshuva for anything. Some it's easier, some harder tshuva, but so on. So we became the call when we said ki ish echad u'kelei echad. And that brings us back to the whole concept of the counting and Matan Torah. Because what happens when you count? You enjoy, and make weeks. You take individual, whether it's a day or people, and you bring them together into a group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you start again. 11, 12. 11 is one more after the cloud. So you can have a very big cloud. You can have 1,000 in the cloud, 10,000, 1,000,000 in the cloud. But you at least have to have a minimum of 10. And when you count, that's exactly what you do. You take an individual 1, an individual 3, an individual 8. You put them all together and you get a 10. And you're back to 1 again. Because that's what 10 is. It's the cloud. Therefore, it makes sense. If that was what Shavuos is about, then when you put in Parshas Emor of the Moadim, you put Shavuos together with Sphera Omer. Because that's what happened to us. We became a cloud, and the process of becoming the cloud was one day after another, we counted. But we say on Shabbos even, in Zmiris, Uvo chulam bivris yachad nase v'nishma amru ke'echad. That's a part of the Zmiris on Shabbos. Uvo chulam bivris yachad. They came into the bris. Nase v'nishma amru ke'echad. It's now. Let's get back to Yisuchak. What's Yisuchak? Yisuchak, it means we tied up the yontif and bring it into the chol. It's not enough just to eat the cheesecake. It's not enough just to sit and learn on one night. It's not enough, but we have to, that we are Makabel Torah all over again. It's got to be tied up into the week. And how do we tie it up into the week? If we behave as people who are members of the bris. If you're members of the bris, then you're have extracted from the Yom Tov of Shavuos what the important message. Yes, it's the only thing there is on Shavuos. There's no matzah, there's no sukkah, there's no arba minim, there's no shofar. What is this Yom Tov? Oh, this Yom Tov. You know what the Yom Tov is? It's us. It's we. It's we, Kal Yisrael, who said, "Uvo chulam b'vrisaga, nase v'nishna kecha." That's our goal. Now, there's one other bris, and I find this very, very beautiful. The Parshas Bahar, which we read not long ago, it speaks about Shemitah, the 7th year. And then it follows, the Gemara says, Ma inyan Shemitah etzel Har Sinai, because it says that Hashem spoke at Har Sinai, and then you have to do this. So what does Shemitah and Har Sinai have to do with one another? So some of the Meforshim tell us, as it says, and we say this in Slichas and Saposik and Torah. V'zacharti es brisi Yaakov, v'af es brisi Yitzchok, v'af es brisi Avram eskor, v'ha'oretz eskor. When you keep Shemitah, there's a bris, another bris. And no one is going to take that away from us. That's our bris. Eretz Yisrael is a bris. V'ha'oretz eskor. The bris at Sinai was not only with those who were present at that moment. They said it. But in Dvarim it says, Hishomer lecha. Who's he talking to? This is to all of Klal Yisrael. Hishomer lecha, ushmor nafshecha meyoid, and guard your soul very much. Pen, lest tishkach es advarim asher ro'u einecha. Upen, another lav. Pen yasuru milvavcha kol yemei chayecha. What? What you saw and what you heard at Sinai. The Chorev. That's the pasuk. Shemor. Hishomer lecha. Ushmor nafshecha ma'oid. So Hishomer lecha. Ushmor nafshecha ma'oid. Pen. You got 4 Isurei lav. V'hodatam levanecha. Yoim asher amadeto lifnei Hashem elokecha b'chorev. What? Yes. Be happy to. Hishomer lecha, be careful, guard. Ushmor nafshecha ma'od, and guard your soul. Pen, lest. Tishkach, you'll forget. Mashara'u enecha, that which your eyes saw. Upen, yasuru milvavecha, unless you remove from your heart. Yoim asher amadeto lifnei Hashem elokecha b'chorev, the day that you stood before Hashem at the mountain called Chorev, which is Sinai. V'hodatam levanecha, and you should teach it to your children. Uvnei vanecha, yom asher amadeto lifnei Hashem elokecha b'chorev. Okay? What was it telling us? Hello. You got to be careful. I've got to be careful. I wasn't there. Was I there? I wasn't there. What is he telling me? Moshe Rabbeinu was speaking to all of the Klal Yisrael, and even the people he was talking to weren't there, because all the people who were at Maimon Sinai were dead. This is at the end of the 40 years. And it was only the people who were younger than 40, and all the ladies, of course. Can't remove that. But Yom Asher Amar Tol Lifnei Hashem Elokecha B'chorev, but I wasn't there. Yes, you were. No. I don't mean my neshama. Yeah, right. Not enough. That's a zoyar, and that's great. And we were there, but I can't remember it, right? And I can't say that I saw it. Can I? It would be kind of not so right. But what happened there was this: that Hashem revealed Torah. That was Gilui Shechina, and Gilui Shechina took Klal Yisrael. That means it was embedded in Klal Yisrael all of that which is called world and creation. All the secrets, all the internal part. And it's there, and it was given to us. We saw it, and instantaneously we knew it all. It was instantaneous. Now, how's that possible? You know how much, how long they've been working on trying to figure out to get a satellite up? And they still do it. Finally, they're doing it. They're going to Mars. They're going to Venus. Who cares what? That's not what this is all about. This is so far greater than all of that. And it says it became us. It says the Gilui Shechina. You know what the Gilui Shechina is? Listen carefully. The Navi, Yecheskel, when he talks about the Merkava, I'm going into heebie-jeebie stuff a little bit, but it's not that, it's just for you to understand the Merkava. The Merkava means it's a chariot. So how do you get from point A to B with a chariot? How does the world function from the source to the way it is? That's the Merkava. So they understood everything. It was the Merkava. And he talked about the angels and this and this is that. And in the end, he says, and on the kisei was the tzura of a man. We read it in the Parsha, in the Haftarah of Shavuos. A man. What does it mean, a man? It doesn't mean, chas v'sholem. It's not man. HaKadosh Baruch is not a man. But there was a tzura, like Yaakov Avinu, his tzura was embedded. We each have a tzura. We each have a tzura that is represented. A tzura is a format, a form. We are that person sitting on this throne. That's who you are. The world is a little you. Ad kedei kach, that they, I think it's a Rabbeinu Bechaya that says that the Moras HaMachpelah, why was it called the double cave? Double cave. Well, but there was a couples there, so there were two. There were 4 couples. Moras HaMachpelah, 2 levels, whatever, right? So says the Rabbeinu Bechaya. You know why it's called Moras HaMachpelah? Because the people who were there and buried there, are the Mauritian and the Avos and the Emos, they were double. What does it mean they were double? What do you mean they were double? 2 Abrahams? Yeah. 2 Yitzchaks? Yeah. 1 Lamala on the Kisei and 1 below here. Each one of us has a tzura that's Lamala and a tzura down here. Those people brought the 2 together. The tzura Lamala and the tzura Lamata, the format of the man above and the woman above. And I keep forgetting who I'm talking. Right, the tzura of the man and the tzura of the woman, they're the same. That's why they were in the Moras HaMachpelah. Only they were zoichet to be there. We try. Some of us are more similar, some of us are less similar. Our job is to become as similar as we can be. That's what happened at Maimon HaSinai. And that, we got to know, is within me. That's the ani. That's the I. What did Hill say? Imani kan, hakol kan. What does it mean? How's that possible? Hakol, meaning the entire universe is here if I'm here. Because I absorbed the Gilu Shechina. I absorbed the Shechina within me. And it even says, had we not sinned with the ego, we wouldn't have needed Matan Torah. We would have, what would we have done? It says, Ilu Kervonu Lefnei HaSinai, V'lo Nasan Lanu Es HaTorah. You say that in the Agoda. Yes, right. But listen a minute. I have to get to that. It says, Ilu Kervonu Lefnei HaSinai, V'lo Nasan Lanu Es HaTorah. He didn't give us, so what's the big deal? Could we be without Torah? So what do you say, Diane? What's the Diane? Diane is if we would have come, right, without all the events of Matan Torah. But before Matan Torah, we could have gotten the Torah on our own. We didn't need it to be given to us. Just like Avraham Avinu didn't need to be given Torah. Did Avraham Avinu Mekayim Kol Torah Kula before? How did he do it? We were on such a darga that we could have gone up and said, I want the Torah. I want to know. I'm just not enough to say I want the Torah. It means I understand from the world what the Torah is all about, what the secrets are. We were on that kind of a darga. It's unbelievable. And we lost it, of course. And then with the Egel, which came afterwards, of course, yes, then everything blew up. But the idea was that we would have been being like Adam Maurish. When did we become Adam Maurish and Kodem Achet? At Matan Torah, through the process of getting Matan Torah, not even before it was given. Even before it was given, we were there. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu has his plan. And we will be very, very welcome to hear and to see and to experience the conclusion of that plan. And it's coming very soon. Okay. Oh.
Thank you.
And this go to this. Hello. And then give it to this.